Hey everyone, it's your girl Victoria, Lady V Victron V12. You're here with Fun with F1, powered by V Sports, the newest and greatest Formula One podcast. On today's episode, we start with some big news. Valtteri Bottas is officially leaving Mercedes after this season. He's going to join Alfa Romeo after 5 years with the Silver Arrows. In his career with the team, he had 9 wins, 54 podiums, and helped Mercedes to 4 constructors' titles. Lewis Hamilton paid his teammate tribute, calling him his best teammate that he's had, which is a big statement considering all they've been through. Other teammates that Lewis has had include Nico Rosberg. Of course, they had a really intense rivalry. Lewis also raced with Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso in his very first year at McLaren. Valtteri Bottas has really made a big impact on the sport, just adding to the competition, and his personality just was always very fierce. And of course, he just brought his culture and his heart for the sport every race he is in. So it'll be exciting to see him race for Alfa Romeo, which has so much history. This announcement, of course, means that George Russell joining Mercedes is imminent. At the time I'm recording this, we don't have the official announcement, but that will be really exciting to see the young British driver in the Silver Arrows and see what he can do with all that power behind him. Bottas is replacing Kimi Räikkönen at Alfa Romeo. Räikkönen announced his retirement. He will be done at the end of this season. He's had a great career. He won the 2007 World Championship. He's known as the Iceman, and he's just very beloved. All of the drivers had really fun stories to share. Antonio Giovinazzi thanked him for his mentorship and his friendship. And it was unfortunate that Räikkönen did not race this week due to COVID. He tested positive and had to sit this week out. So we're still figuring things out day by day. So this week's race was the Dutch Grand Prix. It was all about Max Verstappen. The crowd was orange with all of the fan dust, and the energy was electric. It felt, here in LA we have Hard Summer. That's kind of the EDM festival I've been to. Miami has Ultra. That's what we know here in the United States, but, in Holland, that is their scene. So it was really great, even across the world, just feeling that energy. Max Verstappen did have pole position for this race. He barely beat out Lewis Hamilton, who had second place. Max just raced a textbook race. Like, he just was smooth. He made good decisions. He was fast off the line. His pit team, we know Red Bull's crew is just the top of the game. So Max, congrats to Max. What a great win. There's been so few drivers from the Netherlands, and to have this race back at Zandvoort after 36 years and have the hometown hero win just was a really cool moment for the sport. Mercedes strategy, they finished 2-3 with Hamilton and Bottas. It just seemed a little confusing. They opted for a 2-stop race for Lewis. On his second pit, he exited into traffic, which he was kind of confused about. They were on the radio talking with him about tire management, and he was saying, "Oh, you just don't want me to race?" So there was just little miscommunication. Everybody's really just trying to go all out and be smart about it. Valtteri really just didn't have any pace the whole race, and so that gave them limited strategy, what they could do to help Lewis win. And who knows if he already knew in the back of his mind that he was done with Mercedes. So it's really hard to motivate yourself when you're not really on the team anymore. And everybody's been talking about George Russell and Mercedes, George Russell and Mercedes. And, that would just be really hard to motivate yourself. So congrats to Valtteri for keeping his head up. And he finished third and got himself another podium. Pierre Gasly did really well. He had just a textbook race in 4th. That was his highest qualifying. He tied his highest previous qualifying and just had a pretty quiet, solid race. Antonio Giovinazzi qualified 7th, which ties his personal best as well. He kind of didn't have the best race. He finished 14th, but he's still in the mix, and, it'll be exciting next year to see what he'll do with Bottas. Shout out to Sergio Perez. Checo started from the pit lane because Red Bull opted to give him a new engine for this race, so he had to start from the back. And he just raced incredibly. He was named the driver of the day. He finished in 8th place. He climbed all the way up the grid to get himself in that position. McLaren had kind of a iffy day. They finished with Lando in 10th, Daniel Ricciardo in 11th. There was even a moment because Lando passed Daniel, and on the team radio they were like, do it for the team, Daniel, let him pass you. And Daniel did, and then at the end of the race he goes, oh, where did Lando finish? And Lando finished only 1 place in front of him. So it is what it is. McLaren's probably trying to figure that out, how to balance 2 star racers, one a veteran who is in his prime and one a rising star who is shocking everyone. And Lando had a fun little moment in the after race interviews where he's talking about just the conditions and saying it was blowy, and he wasn't sure if that was a word, so he was just laughing and couldn't stop laughing. And it's just fun to see these young guys having fun. And I know last week I addressed how Lewis Hamilton seemed just kind of out of sorts. I mean, everyone was. The Grand Prix was a mess, but even Lewis just was happy again, and he confident that he raced his best. So yeah, this was just a good race. Ferrari did well. Charles Leclerc finished 5th. Carlos Sainz finished 7th. So, McLaren's figuring their stuff out, but Ferrari's definitely taking the lead a little bit at the middle of the pack. So yeah, after this race, Max retakes the lead for the Drivers' Championship, as does Red Bull for the Constructors' Championship, but it's still so close. Next up, we have the Italian Grand Prix. We go to Monza. This will be the 3rd leg of a triple header, so the racers have been going really hard after that summer break. A special feature of this year's Italian Grand Prix, it's the 2nd race that will have a sprint for qualifying. This, of course, was debuted at Silverstone this year, where Max Verstappen won, and then we had all that drama with Lewis Hamilton, and they crashed, or Max crashed, and Lewis won, and, lots of drama. But thankfully Max is okay, he's winning, he's doing great. This will be an exciting race. Last year, Pierre Gasly won his very first win, his maiden win, at the Italian Grand Prix. He's just, like I said earlier, he's really continuing to prove himself as a reliable driver. Of course, he did race for Red Bull a few years ago and lost his seat. And, with Max doing so well and Checo just signing his, extending his contract, Gasly's, here on AlphaTauri doing his best and doing well. So we don't know what will happen at this year's Italian Grand Prix, but it's going to be exciting and we're looking forward to it. So tune in to V Sports for all things sports and culture, and you're listening to Fun with F1. Let us know what you think. Like, follow, tell your friends, and stay tuned for F1. Take care.